They are a mystery to many. Countless brands have tried to pitch their products, but only a few have prevailed. Now, for the first time, we will interact firsthand with these mystifying gatekeepers. Today, we bring you Behind the Buyer's Desk.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Behind the Buyer's Desk with Sarah and Nathan from National Co+Op Grocers. Very excited after the success of our first episode to have Sarah on with us this week. We're going to try to do these episodes probably bi-weekly just to kind of keep the content coming and continue to interview great buyers and category managers. So Sarah, thank you so much for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. Do you want to give a little background on yourself and then maybe a little background on National Co+Op Grocers?
Yeah, of course. So I have been in the industry with COVID, it's hard to you forget about that year, but about 5.5 years. I started as the first employee at a food startup in the Bay Area. So, I completely understand the hustle. From there, I started helping to run the Chobani incubator. So also worked with a lot of really awesome up-and-coming brands who are ready for the next level. Really was able to bring them into Chobani, to their factories and the offices and teach them everything about marketing, sales, operations, selling into stores. So I have this whole, really wholesome background of understanding what a brand goes through. And now I'm really excited. It's been 6 months at NCG to be on the buyer side and be able to kind of open that window to brands a little bit more into retail, give them that advice that I think is super helpful and that a lot of times, is just unknown because of the time that the buyers have. So I really appreciate that you're doing this because I think it's really valuable to the brands.
Yeah, no, I mean, we got some good reaction from the first one and we're really happy to have you on. And I think, again, training brands how to pitch to retail buyers by the time they get to you is going to make it so much more successful for you and them as well. And so a little bit on National Co+Op Grocers, what differentiates them from a traditional retailer and kind of maybe their buying process and just what's a little bit more about them and just what makes them different?
Yeah, absolutely. So National Co+Op Grocers is a co-op of co-ops. It's an umbrella organization that essentially helps the members, which are our members are the stores, support their members by leveraging our relationship with the distributor, with UNFI. We're UNFI's second largest customer, which a lot of people don't know, as well as leveraging our relationships with the brands. And then the brands get the advantage of being able to promote across almost 200 different co-ops around the country, which if you have a national brand might really be your customer. I know a lot of times when brands start up, the first place they head to is their local independent retailer or their local co-op because they know that customer, they are that customer, potentially they can interact with that customer. And then they say, I was at, Co-Opportunity in Santa Monica or Weaver Street in North Carolina or Weedsville in Texas or Park Slope Co-op, and I really did really well. How do I replicate this across the board without maybe having a sales team, in every single part of the country? So what we do is we help them leverage our promotions and our programs to be able to all at once reach whatever stores they're in, and maintain that relationship with the member stores. So that's really exciting. And then as of this past year, we implemented this program called Core Sets. So we got the members were clamoring for help with really creating their sets. So every co-op is like any independent retailer, is very independent, different sizes, different shapes, different, needs. And they don't always have time, especially with COVID right now, to take a look at their set, understand what the most efficient products are, what's out there. We have the relationships with the brands. We have SPINS data other data to be able to really create those right sets for them. So now we are taking a look at categories as a whole and resetting them entirely. And we have 3 different regions, West, Central, and East, as well as we place things nationally. And we're setting sizes for about 3 different size stores, small, medium, and large, as an average. So, we're not Kroger, we're not Sprouts, we're not Target, we're not placing, each individual slot.
Right.
We're giving broad suggestions that the members have said that they're committed to following. And with the ability to also kind of keep what makes a co-op, that regionality, that localization, that working with, more small brands that might, fit well just in a couple stores at the moment. So really excited. We're getting, we got amazing opt-in from our members, a lot of excitement, and the brands are excited because it's also helping to formalize the process where they're now getting the right items in across the country so they can, work with UNFI better. They're going to have less out of stocks. They're going to have better projections. And they're going to really be able to succeed knowing that they can promote across the board and really know where they're in.
And then as a brand, am I able to, because I think it's awesome that it's getting a little bit more centralized and I don't have to go to each co-op. Am I able to say, hey, listen, I only want to be available in like the Northeast co-ops, or can I kind of segment by where I'm most comfortable right now if I'm a smaller or emerging brand?
Yeah, so if you're a smaller emerging brand, the opportunity is to get into those stores specifically. You can still absolutely sell it independently. Once, I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty, but once we reset a particular set, we do want those members to kind of hold their set for 6 months to just, make sure that this program is working how we'd like it to work. So it kind of depends on where we are in the cycle of reviewing certain items. But yeah, I always suggest if you are small, I want to see you build a base with our base customers, because even though we're natural, I look at natural enhanced channel data, but I don't take too much stock into how you're doing at Sprouts, how you're doing at Whole Foods, because a big brand could come to me with their top 8 items in the natural enhanced channel, and I could look at my data and say, we're selling your products really well, but our top 8 look totally different than what you suggested, based on our customers just being a little bit different. They really value organic, they value plastic free, they value a lot of these, they're really more on the cutting edge. Like co-ops were kind of started in that like hippie era, and it's still, don't want to generalize at all. Every co-op really has its own feel and vibe. And,
Right.
I've been a member of the Park Slope Co-op, which is a totally different vibe than where I am here now in Minneapolis. And they're both really special and exciting. And people light up when they talk about their grocery store, which you're not going to see when you're about, Ralph's or Fresh Time. So
Yeah. I think people take a lot of pride in, like, especially that's like, they're a little bit more prideful when they belong to a co-op. And that's kind of what I've seen with co-op customers. And so I think brands need to be, wary of that and understand it is a different customer base.
Yeah, absolutely. The members are absolutely voting with their dollars. They're voting with their say during potential general meetings. It's completely member owned. And so you really, we're doing consumer centric category management, and we want to make sure that the brands understand that as well.
And then, so if what I'm presenting to other retailers, right, maybe my top 8, like you had mentioned, are just going to look different to yours. What should I change about my pitch, my presentation, what I'm bringing to you, what data points, what kind of little nuggets, what should I bring to you that's somewhat different than what I'm bringing to every other retailer when I come to pitch to you? What's important to you?
Yeah, well, I think number one is understanding what the retailer wants before you come in and pitch. It's not just about, like in the last interview, do you have the right name on your pitch, but do you understand how they operate, what they want? Do they want promotions? Do they want you to work with their local community project? Do they, do they value coupons or digital couponing? What is important for them to show that you are going to succeed? You have to remember that when a category manager takes a risk on a new brand, it's a really big risk. They work with big brands that they know are going to, constantly perform, but at the same time, we want to look for those next trends. We want to bring those customers in, and we want to be able to support you, but I can't support you by just putting you on shelf. I need to know that you can financially support different programs or promotions that are going to get you off of shelf, especially with demos being non-existent right now. Driving trial is really important. I think that there's so many amazing items that that have great taste, cleaner ingredients than a lot of what's been out there in the past. But if someone's not going to pick you up because they don't know you, then you're never going to really get that opportunity to get them to switch brands. And I think during COVID, more people than ever are going to the grocery store. You're finding people who maybe, in New York and LA were hustlers and were just eating out at restaurants. Well, now they've had to switch. They've had to learn how to cook. They've had to learn how to go to the grocery store. They've had to become brand loyal to something or someone when they never were before. So you have, you have out of stocks. Like, there's really a big opportunity to capture a customer that wasn't there before. So I think that that's really interesting as well. But yeah, so for us, we have, our website, ncg.coop. You can go and find our backend portal. It's called Partner Connection. There it has a lot of our forums. It has our category review calendar, which we're coming out with a new one at the beginning of March. So I'd take a look at that if you're interested in any of our reviews, because right now this is a program we're rolling out. We're not reviewing every category every year yet. It's going to take a bit of time because we are literally tearing down and building back up. We also have the once a month webinar called Getting to Know NCG, and that really talks about not only our mission and our values and who we are, which I think again is really important to understand and know when coming in and speaking with us, but also talks about our programs and what we're looking for in order to guarantee that, or help to guarantee, I can't guarantee anything, that a brand is going to succeed with us. So, we use sometimes different terminology than the rest of the industry. So I think that that's important in general when you're talking to any store. You could say, oh, we do 4 TPRs a year, but one store a TPR could mean one thing, another it could mean a different thing. And so, when I see you present to me, I want to know, well, what kind of promotions? Are you interested in flyer ads? Are you interested in ads? Are you interested in coupons? Like, because each one is pulling a different string and has a different strategy and is showing a different way that you want to come out of the gate and then maintain. So I think, and I was totally guilty of this when I was part of a brand and I had to fill out form after form after form, and I knew it could take me, a half a day to fill out these forms. And I try to be really mindful of that when, helping to create the forms that we ask for, that I'm only asking the pertinent information that's going to help me make those decisions. And for us too, kind of like was mentioned in the last interview as well, is category reviews are nowhere near the only role that we play. So, a lot of the category managers, myself included, we don't always have time to meet individually with every brand. We ask for the submissions and we try to collect as much data as possible. But you might not get the opportunity to tell your story before we take a look at the data and make that decision. At the same time, I understand that looking at spins and just looking at number data does not always tell a full picture. It doesn't give me, maybe you had out of stock supply chain issues for COVID, maybe, there's are certain issues that I want to hear about. I'm really like those quote unquote what you might consider a failure. I want to know how did you get through that, and that really helps me in making my decisions, because I'm only seeing a part of the story. And while I want to meet with as many brands and hear your story, I think even if we just ask for a form, send over your deck if I don't ask for it, because if I want to read it, I have access to it. If I don't, I save it in a folder and it might just sit there, but at least I've been armed with the information. So I think you can always, if you're going to send a submission, send other things. Do everything on email these days, though. If someone, I used to also do this. I would go to Kinko's, I would do the pretty paper, I would collate my whole sales deck, make sure it was sent in with the samples. And that, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
I don't do anything with it. It doesn't help me. If I'm a paper person, then I'll print it out, but email is really best. Otherwise those things, just get lost or thrown away, and no one wants you to waste your time. And I know I'm just talking without you asking questions.
No. I that's good. I mean, I wanted to make it as easy as possible, so that's good. I think two things I want to go back to was, one, you had mentioned kind of the different ways that brands can reach out to NCG, which is, I think, like every retailer that doesn't have a category review schedule, like online, it's like I have like something else to say to them, but making that stuff accessible, like not every retailer does that. And so for you to have your the category review schedule up there, make it accessible to brands, having the monthly webinars, also just having an email, like I checked before the interview, to somebody you can reach out to directly. These are all, much more actionable steps than even just like a retailer saying, hey, submit through RangeMe, because a lot of times that's not going to make it to that buyer's desk. So I think you're going out of your way to make it super easy and arm those brands with all of the information that they need. But when they get to you and finally get to the buyer, they need to be able to provide all that information to make sure it's custom tailored to you. You also mentioned coming in with a strong promotional background without demos right now. I wanted to kind of ask you, are you seeing a type of demo or a type of promotion that's working better to really drive trial during this time versus, hey, listen, we usually rely so much on demos, now we're only doing TPRs and we don't seem to save velocity. Are you seeing a promotion that's working better for brands?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our store in particular, and also just like if you think about the psychology of what's going on right now, they're not going grocery shopping as often. They want to get in and out. They want to make their lists ahead of time. At NCG, we don't have a partnership with iBody right now. Hopefully we will one day. We'll hopefully also have digital couponing in the more near future. But I would say anything that is going to tell people ahead of time that there is a sale or there's a, that you're in those stores is important. So I say, do the flyer ads, like pay the little extra, or try to talk to, if you're a small brand, any type of buyer, really, they want to fill their flyer. Like that's really important to their customers. So you could say, hey, we want to do a flyer. We normally would do a sales tag or feature shelf type ad. We're a small brand. We really are looking to invest. Can we come up with a compromise, or if we come up with a really good plan, can we, a comprehensive plan? Is there, anything you can do for us? So I think that, any category manager is going to be really open to that when you are open to investing more. And I really do see that ads perform better because, like, think about when you were, maybe not in the retail industry. And I know for me, when it came time for Sunday and the Sunday circulars, like our family was fighting over that Target ad. And whatever was in that ad, in my mind, was on sale. I never said, let me go to Target and see if they have tags that are not in this ad. I really, that's how I shopped. And if I didn't see the shampoo or the storage container with food that I wanted, I was going to find a different ad that might show that on sale. I'm not necessarily always the typical shopper, but I think that that's something that I think about a lot is how do you get on the shopping list before they even enter the store?
Right. Yeah, I think being top of mind. We also see a lot of brands have success in like joint promotions with brands that have already been in the store for a while, so that you're trying to drive some traffic to your brand off of their traffic as well. And I think for us, it's super important to go into the meeting understanding what promotional schedule the buyer is looking for, and not necessarily saying, hey, this is what we do for everybody else, this is what we can offer to you. I think you need to be flexible.
Yeah, and another thing I would say, again, I love that we put out so much information for the brands, and sometimes it can be frustrating when we go out of our way to put a lot of information out and you still come to me not having read it. So that's like a big piece of advice. But if a store is not doing that, there are 1.5 million networking opportunities for brands. Like, this is the best industry in the world. It is people who are just want to feed each other and be hospitable. And, you know, I started a Google group about four or 5 years ago. And then from there, it's gone to like other people have started Slack groups. Clubhouse has been amazing. I was really weary about Clubhouse at first, but if you're not on it, it's an amazing CPG community, really a lot of individual connections happening and a lot of big connections. So I would definitely recommend tapping into those resources, finding a brand that, you know, that you admire, that's doing well in that particular retailer. Maybe it was that retailer's first store. Maybe they just, you know, do really well, or maybe you see them on promotion there all the time. And, you know, founders someone helped them understand all this and they want to pay it forward.
Right.
So reach out to them and see, like, when you pitch to Kroger, when you pitch to Walmart, when you pitch to Sprouts, you know, what were those things that they asked for? What were the things that were really important to them? And how can I, you know, really tell my selling story based on that? So even if the information is not coming directly from the retailer, there is a brand that can help you navigate that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we work in a pretty friendly like industry. I think everybody wants to see kind of all about rises in a situation, and I think it's yeah, I mean, just reaching out. I think there's a really strong LinkedIn community like around the brands as well, and there's already going to be a brand out there that's done what you want to do in a store, and so kind of seeing what their playbook is and what their roadmap was is going to be very successful. You know, Sarah, I'd love to kind of wrap up with understanding what category you do kind of manage, just so that people that are planning on reaching out after watching this can make sure that they are in the appropriate category. And then maybe the best way that they can reach you if they are, you know, they do see that their category review is coming up and it does fit a product that you review.
Yeah. So I do frozen, body care, and lifestyle. And you could reach out to me through, like I said, that Partner Connection website. It's partnerconnection.ncg.coop. But you can Google and find it really easily. My first thing would be to, you know, read all the documents that are attached and see the calendar review, and then sign up for that getting to know you session. That gets filtered through our business development manager, who can then, you know, help compile some information for me and pass it on, or to any of pass it on to any of the category managers. And then those category managers will either reach out to you or let you know, like, please reach back out to me when your category review is. You know, there's always opportunity for some off cycle, but it has to be really, really special. You know, and I think that that's really a big part of the selling story as well. What white space are you filling? And how can you really enhance the sales for my store?
Yeah, I don't think the brands realize that, again, like, you're taking stuff off the shelf and you put their product on, and really, like, the most volatile part of your job is dealing with that 5 to 10% of like new products. Like, you know, you're going to carry X amount of products, but like, what's the new products that are going to help increase the lift across the category? And that's the tough part about being a buyer and a category manager, for sure.
Exactly. And if I can add one thing, I know
Yeah.
coming to the end, you know, I think the biggest thing that I learned from, you know, working at Chobani, I was surrounded by so many brilliant brains, was category. Don't talk about your brand. Talk about the category. Understand the category. Understand your place in the category around everyone else, and how you're going, all ships rise with the tide. So, real category management, I think, and any suggestions that you are able to make around that are really important. And then lastly, ask your buyer for advice. Like, they want to feel like they're part of your journey. They want to feel like they can, they're helping you succeed. And we see so many things. You can tell me we're the only one who does this, and I will probably pick out 3 or 4 different companies that's doing exactly what you're doing out of my brain. Maybe you don't know about that, and maybe, I can help kind of put you in the right direction towards differentiating yourself or helping you with your sales story. Being someone who helps small brands a lot, I love doing that. So I always really like doing that, and I think a lot of other category managers do as well. They just don't want that if I make a suggestion, that means I'm going to take you in.
Right.
But always happy to help.
Yeah, I think showing vulnerability in front of the buyer is okay, right? Like, a lot of people will send their kind of their new item forms to us and be like, hey, what does this acronym mean? What's the expected free fill for that? It's like, well, why are you asking me? Like have this conversation with the retail buyer, see what's expected of you. They're not going to be upset that you're asking questions. They want you to fill this out correctly as well. And so I think there's a level of intimidation that is there, but doesn't need to be there. So definitely create that rapport, have a conversation with the buyers, and understand that a no now doesn't necessarily mean like a no always. Like, start the conversation and potentially you'll get in down the line. And so I think just starting that relationship is super crucial.
Yeah, even if you're not ready with the store, submit just so that you get on the radar and we can see how you build over time. And I always say any brand with an ego, I'm always weary of. So definitely that vulnerability is important.
Awesome, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you'll get some great brands reaching out to you after this, and enjoy the Minnesota cold, and hopefully the summer coming up soon.
Thank you. You too, Cameron.
Appreciate it.